Talk shoes. Recorded live.
Welcome everybody. Oh man, I didn't even check the calendar. Welcome to the March 11th, 2016 edition of the Genesis Science Fiction Radio Show, a service of the blacksci-fi.com website, and you are listening to probably one of the most comprehensive interview shows on the entire internet. I haven't found anybody who can interview someone to the depth that we do, and it's special for me because I get to deal with people in black theme, science fiction, horror, fantasy, all kinds of mediums, whether we're talking art, the written word, the spoken word, even the sung word, and it's a pleasure to do the show. And tonight we have an extra special guest. We have the creator of blacksci-fi.com, the website, and of course the host of other things which we'll be getting into. Please welcome Jarvis Sheffield. How you doing, man?
Hey, I'm good. How are you tonight?
Good. I can't pretend I don't know you, but I'm going to do my best to keep the inside baseball down to a minimum because I really want the people to get to know who you are, some of the incredible things that you've done, and to understand the motivations that have kind of pushed you into creating some of the coolest things on the internet. And so it's good that you're here. For those of you who don't know, Jarvis lives south, which we don't hold against him. He's in the middle of at grabbing some more education. I met you. How long ago was it I met you? About 4 years now, right?
It's been about 4. I think this year might be 5.
Okay. And, for the last 3 of these years, I've had the privilege of being the host of, or at least the de facto host. Penelope fills in when I can't do something or she finds something extraordinary, a person that she really wants to interview. But I've had the good fortune to be the host of this show, and that's thanks to Jarvis and his indulgence of me. I think it's also a testament to the fact that he does, do the best he can for people around him. And with me having this ankle bracelet on and having to be home at night, it gives me something to do on Friday evening. So thank you very much, Jarvis, for the consideration.
You're very welcome.
Okay, so you're in Smyrna, which state?
Smyrna, Tennessee.
Tennessee. And where did you grow up? Did you grow up in that area or what?
I grew up about 2.5 hours away in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Oh, okay. And you've lived there most of your life. What about schooling? Like college and stuff like that.
Well, actually, I lived there till 18. Then I moved away, went to college at Tennessee State, and I've been here ever since.
And you do a number of things. Like for people who don't know, you are graphics minded in terms of right now that's evident in the fact that you are kind of spearheading the effort to do the Earth Squadron movie, BSFS's first feature movie. But I mean, when you were before you went to college, grammar school, high school, did you have any notion to do these kind of creative things that you're doing now, or these interests that came to you later?
I think I've always been busy at doing something, experimenting, drawing, coloring, making things. I was that kid that had Highlights magazine and did every experiment in the magazine. I remember the look on my parents' face when I come asking for some shade or glue or scissors or something, because I was always up to something. And so over time, I still have a lot of varied interests like that. And I think in high school, I kind of got a more of a focus with technology. I went to Kirkman Technical High School. It's no longer there because it merged with Howard High School in Chattanooga, but it was a vocational high school where part of the day I was taking electronics class. And in that class, we had an opportunity to do video and graphic design and building circuit boards and building robots and things of that nature. So my interest in technology really hit a peak in high school.
It sounds, well, actually, no, it sounds like we were hitting the same interest at the same time because I'm a couple years older than you. But it's kind of a common theme with people, you know, who grow up with technology, wanting to do things in that field. Like in school, you mentioned robotics. Did you participate in any of, like, the school competitions across America in robotics or anything like that?
Not so much as in pure robotics, but I was part of VICA, which was the Vocational Industrial Clubs of America, where students around the country had different trades that they would compete in, and I was in electronics repair. In that, I competed in the state level in electronic repair. I was also the vice president for the first year I was in it, and the president for my school my senior year. But then also I want to backtrack a little bit too. My father was a machinist, and so he was always making things around the house and repairing things himself. So he would show me how to do these things. So that was the earliest incarnation of my interest in, you know, doing things outside the box, making and creating things. It kind of came from my dad.
So you were a tinkerer as you grew up, and I think that has a lot to do with, you know, how we end up. For me, let's see, we moved to, they were building some new townhouses. I think they were the first townhouses that they put in my neighborhood, which happens to be the same neighborhood President Obama comes from. And so they were building some townhouses, and it was like a square of townhouses with a big yard in the middle, you know, where the kids could play. And we were the first family to move into that square of townhouses. And so there was always lumber around. And I would steal lumber and bring it down to our basement and build stuff, you know, like go-karts or, you know, a pretend rocket or something like that. And I think that stood me well later in life because I always had the interest in doing it myself. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I didn't want other people to do it. And it seems like you're very hands-on like that no matter what you do as well.
Oh, yeah, that could be a good thing, it could be a bad thing. In my experience, it's mostly been a good thing, but at some point you have to learn to let go and let others be a part of what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. and so what kinds of interests did you have, like when you went to college? Were they still technically minded or what?
I still had a technical focus. I initially started as electrical engineering student, and then I got interested in computer-aided design, so I changed my major to CAD. But I ended up changing that to computer science. And so by the time I finished, I went back to school years later, and I did interdisciplinary studies, which allowed me to do both mass communications and computer science. I basically made my own major.
That's pretty cool. And they let you do that?
Oh, yeah. So it was really, really cool. I had the main concentration in computer science, but then all of my electives were mass communication.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. We didn't have much of a computer. Well, we did have computer sciences, and we did have programming and things like that, because this was early 70s. We didn't have a club like that on campus or anything like that. And I had gotten a job, like a week or so before school started, because I'd been working for IBM since 1970, and I tested out of a crap load of credits. I think it was 12 or 16 credits when I got to the campus, because I wanted to take the final exams of a bunch of these computer classes, and I got those extra credits, which was nice because I essentially almost started as a sophomore. So that was pretty cool. So you're doing this kind of bifurcated major that you're doing, and how did you parlay that as you were getting older and maybe even getting out of school?
Well, the first round of school, I was able to get a job with a company called Zycron, where I worked there during my sophomore year, where I learned to build computers from the ground up. I also learned to set up networks and test those networks, and represented the company at different meetings and things of that nature. So doing a lot of that stuff on hands-on was really great. And so that experience plus the experience from high school allowed me to get other positions with Dell, with Comcast, with T-Mobile, things of that nature. But I ran into a problem where, you can know everything under the sun, but you can only progress so far without having the credentials. So after hitting the glass ceiling, dealing with, like I said, having a lot of experience and not being able to go any further, that forced me to go back to school and complete my degree.
And at that time, because I'm pretty sure, were you working while you were in school as well? Working toward anything that resembles where you are today, I guess, is what I want to know, because I reinvent myself all the time. Well, not all the time, but a lot of the time. Like going from being just a straight IT guy, then all of a sudden I'm a writer, and then I'm a filmmaker. And so, like, for you, how did you see yourself at that period? First you come out of school, then you go back into school. What were you thinking for yourself?
When I was in school, one thing that I did do with a number of friends of mine, we got video cameras and ran around campus videotaping all of the events. And so people start paying us to make videotapes of this step show or this recital and things of that nature. So the video aspect and editing that I had a little experience with in high school kind of kicked in big time in college. So that was like my side gig. I had the school job, and then videotaping and editing events around campus. And then we started doing videos and things of that nature locally. So I've always been able to parlay some of the talents I have to make a little money here on the side or whatever. So it's been video for years. That kind of branched off to animation and graphic design and animation. So it's been a fun ride.
And you're still using the same skills now. So it's not like you mastered something then went on to do something else. Let's get to the meat of what why you're here, and that's because you are the creator of blacksciencefictionsociety.com social networking site. Where did the idea for that come from? Because you got so many things that you've done. It's going to be tough covering most of them, but this one's pretty important. No, I'm serious. What was the genesis of that idea?
I think when I was in college, I ran with a lot of nerdy type guys that would spend their last dime at the comic book store getting the latest comics. And so around that time, Milestone Comics was the big thing in the early 90s, and that kind of piqued my interest even further with comics because, you know, you grew up reading Spider-Man, X-Men, and things of that nature. But then Milestone came out with the Milestone universe with Static Shock and Icon and those type of characters. And so that really shifted my thinking toward Black comics. And so that was the very beginning. Then years later, I think it was 2004, I actually bought the name Black Science Fiction Society. But I kind of sat on it for a while, and I would frequent other sites that had Black entertainment, like little rooms and things of that nature. One of them was urbanentertainment.com, which kind of subsequently went out of business. And so a combination of President Obama ascending into his position and my son asking me about, and I tell people all this time about this, that we were watching, I can't remember exactly what show we were watching, but he asked me, why are the Black people the bad guys? And so that led to a long, drawn-out conversation, but then it kind of pushed me to go ahead and play my part in changing that. And so I couldn't do an animation. I couldn't really write or anything at that time. And so what I did, I could design websites pretty well. And so I created Black Science Fiction Society in 2008. And so what I could do was pull all the resources that I knew and the people that I knew that liked science fiction together in one place. So that's the germination of Black Science Fiction Society.
And what was it like in the early days? Oh,
I think it was like, it started off with about 20 people, and it was, and it's I still get this feeling all the time when I meet the members on the site, but it was just footloose and fancy free meeting. It was really exciting meeting other people like myself that were nerdy and like science fiction and Star Trek and Star Wars and robots and reading and comics and all this stuff. So the big thing that I would constantly hear was I didn't know there were other people like me out there. And so being able to pull people from around the world together that think alike has always been exciting for me.
And, I mean, did you wherever you were living at that time, were you in Smyrna by then?
I think 2008, I was still, I think I was in Smyrna. I lived in Nashville, which is where Tennessee State University is the majority of that time, but I've been here in Smyrna for 10 years. So, yes, Black Science Fiction Society was founded here in Smyrna.
Yeah, and let me ask you this, where you live now and where you lived then, which is the same place, where did you run into people like you there, or were there people from your past mostly? Because I don't mean anything, bad, but, Smyrna's not that big, and as I sit here in Chicago, having all of Chicago around me, I wonder, well, how many people like you are there? For me, I joined blacksciencefictionsociety.com, and it wasn't but, a minute afterwards that Ronald T. Jones got in touch with me, here in Chicago. So it's, it was kind of like your gathering place allowed me to meet people in Chicago. So how was it for you? Where was your crowd coming from? Was it from your past, from school? Let's say your first 100 people. Where did you see them all coming from?
It was, oddly enough, it was completely random because from all around the country and the world, really, because at the time I was part of several Yahoo groups and e-groups, which were really the social networking of the time back then. And so when I started the site, I put out a message on each of those boards about the site and what I was doing, and those people kind of migrated over to Black Science Fiction Society. Those were the first people, and it was, like I said, it was completely random from around the U.S.
And you know, let's see, I started writing in 2001, and you know, like I said, I only discovered this place maybe 5 years ago, but I can't imagine how my life might have been different, you know, if I would have found this pool of people and, you know, the supportive group that most people of this site are. So, I mean, that's truly remarkable. And we're up to how many now? How many members now?
We're right at 5,000 on the main site, and we're at a little over 10,000 on our Facebook page and 9,000 on our Facebook group.
Mhm. That's pretty cool, man. You know, to have built it up, and you know, we can count on all of your fingers and toes, all of my fingers and toes, and about 9 other people's fingers and toes. How many other like sites and groups have started, peaked, and disappeared? You know, in the realm of Black science fiction, fantasy, and horror. So, you know, that's a testament to your staying power. Let me ask you this. What do you think makes your site, and I say yours because it is yours, your site as successful as it is?
I've had the experience of running websites before and designing websites for about 20 years. Ooh, that's wild, 20 years of web design. But drawn from that experience, but even more to the core is that Black Science Fiction Society runs off of the community aspect. It's not one central person that's responsible for updating everything every day. The site functions by people, the various people on the site sharing what they like. They share their comics, they share their videos, they share their photos, blogs, and things of that nature. So it's the community aspect that sets it apart from the other sites. Most sites are kind of static, where you kind of go there and look at it and read something and leave, where this site is more of interactive community.
Mm-hmm. And I think you're right, because when people have control and the ability to market themselves, to let other people know what's going on, that's pretty important. I mean, you know, you look at the success of Facebook. Well, what is the reason why the success of Facebook? And you know, a lot of people are going to say, "Oh man, you just whatever." But I think the success of Facebook is that it allows all of its members to present themselves in the way that they want, not necessarily the way that they are, but in a way that they feel positive about. And I think that that's also something about BSFS. People, like you said, people can say, okay, hey, I've put together this web series, and they can put a link right up there. Or like in my case, I can put chapters of my novels up there, and maybe some of the films that I've done. So yeah, I could see that as a positive. And then to think that if we just average it out, you're grabbing, 1,000 people. Well, you said 2008.
2008. Actually, 2008. This month makes 8 years.
8 years. So to grow to 5,000 people and 5,000, decent contributors. Well, the bulk of them are contributors. That's pretty remarkable. Let me ask you this. What's the most fun about managing BSFS?
I think 2 things. One is being inundated with so much new media that I had no idea existed. New comics, new videos, new books. I mean, stuff that I would never have ran into otherwise. If we didn't have this internet thing, I would never know about a lot of this stuff. And then the second thing is actually meeting the members when I go out to different events and meeting people that are members of the site in person. It's kind of strange because you see these people, you talk to them online, but then when you see them in real life, it's almost like you already know them, and so it's an instant friendship there. That's it's kind of strange, but it's really exciting as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And in the service of promoting the site, where have you gone to, like, conventions and meetings or other events to promote the site? What kind of travel have you done, and actually, who have you seen?
Oh man, some of the actual locations, of course, Onyx Con in Atlanta, ECBAC in Philadelphia, which is East Coast Black Age of Comics, the Motor City Black Age of Comics in Detroit. I was even privy to go to DECCON in Detroit as well, which is a mainstream event. An event in Atlanta called Alien Encounters. Even more recently, speaking at Antioch High School here locally, and also being invited to speak at Clark Atlanta University. And so those are some of the cities that I've been able to visit. And I met people like Tanana Ravdu, Stephen Barnes, Joseph Wheeler, just so many different people. Maya Crown. It's so many people. It's ridiculous. Like this weekend, Tony Cade, Robert Jeffrey, Tim Fielder, Watasha Womack. Just so many different people. And like I said, it's that instant connection once we meet.
You and I haven't met, and we joke about it, and we know that when we do, it's going to be cool. But the other part of that is we don't really have to meet in order to have a pretty cool relationship. And that's pretty satisfying for me. But like I said, I can't wait. I'm going to run into you in Detroit or Atlanta or someplace, and I'm not going to tell you I'm coming. I'm just gonna roll up on you and say, dude, how are you doing? And we'll see if you recognize me from my Photoshop picture on the site.
And that's how most people do me. They run up on me like, hey, what's up? I'm like, hey.
Well, come on. When you belong to this kind of online community, there's the natural feeling that you know somebody to that extent. You may never have seen them, but it's like it's like you've been like you and I, we've been friends for years, and that, I think that's pretty cool. Let me ask you this: where did the idea for this radio show come from?
You know what? The initial idea came from Thaddeus House. And people will pitch stuff out to me, and I'll run it around through my head and see how it can best be implemented. And he not only came up with the idea, but he also told me about the TalkShoe site. So I had to credit the initial idea for a radio show to Thaddeus.
And let's see, when did I get involved at the beginning, or I don't remember because I'm old.
I think you were there at the beginning, and a couple of other people. I think there may have been 4 other people, but other people had different responsibilities and things of that nature, and so that's how it came about. And I think Mr. William had the most free time. And not so much that you had the most free time, you made the most free time, because I remember you used to play tennis at this time, and you stepped away from doing the tennis thing to commit to doing this radio show, and I want to thank you for that.
Well, it was. I'll tell you what was funny about that. I played tennis on Friday nights for, during the winter since I think about 1985, 84, which is a long ass time, to do the same thing on Friday nights during the winter. And I had done radio back in the 70s, and it was, I had my own show, and I got to do whatever I wanted to, play music, things like that. This is all talk, which is not as easy as a standard radio show because, keeping up a conversation for this amount of time is not always easy. But I enjoy doing it, and, I was getting tired of the people I was playing tennis with, to be very honest. I hope none of them are listening. They don't give a damn. But, I had played all my life. I played in high school. I played in college. I played professionally. And, club tennis is okay, but, it's a different animal. If you're playing in a mixed group or if you're playing with people who aren't as good as you, you can't just beat them up. And it was the same people year after year after year after year. So this was a welcome relief. I mean, even to the point where I would get off the tennis court at 8:30, get in my car and call the show and do the show from the car on the way home. And it was fun. It was fun. I mean, you all could hear me walking from the garage to my house, the wind blowing. And but the coolest part about it is the people I've gotten to meet. I've gotten to meet, a whole lot of creatives who in all honesty, I didn't even know they existed. Because I was like anybody else when I joined the site. It was like, oh my God, where have these people been for the last 10 years of my life or whatever? And, reading the different stories and looking at the art, checking out the movies and the videos that people do. And to actually get to meet those people has been like the coolest part of this experience. And then, my first foray out as a writer, being invited someplace, I got invited to Florida A&M, and every single person who was there as a panelist was somebody, almost every single one was somebody I had interviewed, but I'd never met them. And that, like you said, that's pretty cool that you get to do that. I don't know, generally how much longer I'll do this or, if I'm doing it well, but I truly have looked around the internet and I've listened to other shows where they interview talent. And first of all, none of them are 2 hours long. And second of all, I'm kind of surprised in far too many cases, the person whose show it is, who's doing the interview, hasn't even done their homework about the person they are interviewing. And that's got to suck for the person who's being interviewed because it's like, well, you didn't even care enough to at least look at my webpage or whatever. So there are certain things I've learned that are important. And I want to thank you for sticking with me. I don't know if I'm the best person to do this, but at least I've been doing it the longest here. But I was surprised that you were going to do a radio show because I was wondering, well, how are we going to do that technically? And then the whole talk show thing made it very, very easy. I mean, yes, it has its weaknesses, but as far as being able to have, I mean, what was it, 2 weeks ago, we had a brother from, where was he, Trinidad?
Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah. I get to interview somebody from Trinidad sitting on my big ass up here in Chicago, and he's there and you're doing the tech. You're actually doing the board, down in Tennessee. I mean, it's pretty cool as far as the technology is concerned.
Oh yeah.
I know that you constantly look around to see what other platforms we could use, and I'm doing that too. I'm looking at some Linux things. so that we can maybe do commercials. Not that, commercials are a big deal, but it gives a little bit of a break, or even drop in some music, some bumper music, or even pre-recorded things. Like if I go to C2E2 and record something on my phone, then we could upload it and play it back or what have you. So those are the kinds of cool things that would be great to do. But like you said, it's hard to argue with TalkShoe's price.
Oh yeah. Because I've looked at some Podomatic. I've looked at was it Blogger? No. What's the other big one? I can't think of it right now, but it's so expensive. And everything has to be cost effective. When the site is a free site, you have to try to balance the budget to keep everything going.
Right, and for people who don't know, it does cost to keep this site up. Tell us a little bit about your efforts for fundraising to maintain the site. What are the kinds of things that you've been doing to get the revenue necessary to keep the site live and growing?
Well, of course, we always take donations, and we generally repurpose every dollar that comes in from doing the book or the magazine or the posters back into the site to continue to finance the site itself and the different projects that we have going. Like one of the latest projects is the actual Earth Squadron movie, but more so to continue keeping the site going and to finance the different aspects like the book, the magazine, the radio show, keeping everything going. And then also we want to keep growing so that we can keep doing more stuff. And some of the new things that I want to bring online is actually developing toys and video games. And I've already made some strides into doing prototyping for each of those. But we won't shift into those type of things until it can be financed. And the sooner we get financing for these type of things, the sooner we'll do them. But the main funding generators are donations, book sales, magazine sales, poster sales.
And obviously it's enough to keep the site up, and probably it contributes well to your, the traveling that you have to do to market the site, to keep it in front of people's faces or put it in front of people's faces who have never been here before. True?
Yes, most definitely. And even more so this year, because 2 months ago, Ning, the platform that we use, sent us all the Ning users an email letting us know the new price structure for the platform, and the cost to just run the site by itself has more than doubled.
Really?
So
that much?
Oh yeah, for the pro, it's more than double.
They get their money, though, don't they? Once they get you locked in, it's kind of tough. I mean, it would be very tough to migrate your whole site someplace else, wouldn't it?
Right. At this point, with 5,000 people trying to migrate that amount of individuals and videos and pictures
artwork,
and would be a nightmare. So it kind of locked in, but the platform, I really like the platform. I've had the opportunity to try out several different content management systems, and the one that we have now I think is still the best for what we're trying to do.
Mm-hmm. No, it's very easy to use, and I'm amazed at how much content you actually have, for the site, on the site specifically. Obviously you have to have a link to a video, but having the artwork and the spoken word and all of the other things that are there, it's probably, I think it's the most comprehensive environment in science fiction, fantasy, and horror on the internet that I've found. There are sites that promote organizations. There are sites that promote, certain publishers and things like that. But this one is, as they say in church language, this is very non-denominational in terms of who it is that gets to participate. I mean, you don't discriminate at all. You have everybody, artists, musicians, authors, the whole nine yards. So that I find to be, it's remarkable in itself, and one of the things I ask people, which I don't have to ask you, is, well, how did you find BSFS? And for me, believe it or not, it was someone else in a writers group that I was in here in Chicago. And he said, hey, you should really check out this site. You would fit right in. And I guess he was right.
Okay.
But I Jarvis, I never would have found it otherwise, unless I was doing a random search, like for Black science fiction in Google or something like that. I probably never would have found the site otherwise.
Right.
And I wouldn't have.
Amazing how many people do find it like that.
Yeah. Let me ask you now, because you mentioned First Squadron, which is a feature movie, 3D animated, right?
Yes.
That is going to be the first feature film that this site has done. Take us through the very earliest stages of how you thought, what made you decide to put this project together, and kind of give us an idea of the stages that you've gone through to get where you are today.
Oh, that's kind of random. But the initial story came from, I was actually working at what's called T-Mobile now. It was called VoiceStream when I was there in training, and I was so bored, and I had to sitting there in training, and so I kind of scribbled out some ideas for a story, and actually I wrote 2 stories in the 30 days of being in this boring training class. And so, and so a few years later, I fixed it up a little bit and kind of went ahead and finished it, and it made its way into Genesis Anthology Book 1 as a short story. And since then, I got with this guy in Chicago who's a writer and a movie maker, and named William Hayashi, and he fleshed that short story all the way out into a full 80-page script. Really breathed life into that story. And so I think the genesis of that was, okay, we've got this book, we got this site, we have all this talent here. Let's make our own movie. And so, like I said, I talked to you, and we got this script going, and pulled together some other resources as far as like other animators, and started putting the groundwork together for the film. And last year, I think it was right around this time last year, did the Indiegogo crowdfunding campaign and raised several $1,000s to pay for the film, to pay for the assets, to pay for the software, to pay for the sound effects, things of that nature. And so since then, we've been taking baby steps in terms of creating a storyboard, making each of the assets customized so that the film will be something unique, not something that just, we just pulled out of the stock.
Yeah, or derivative of some other work.
Right. So we wanted to make sure everything looks nice and is original. That's been a major thing. And now we're all the way up to the point where we're about to do voiceovers. I think we have 2 alien ships that should be done within the next, well, not alien ships, but 2 more ships that should be done within the next 30 days to move into the actual animation portion. But then also We have voiceover equipment and a lot of talent that's stepped forward. I'm going to actually start doing some of those recordings of the scenes. And so really excited about moving from the story to the script to storyboards to the actual animation process.
Well, you left out a very important part.
I knew I left something out. What did I leave out?
The studio.
Oh, that's right. And I think it was right around 2013, with some of the funding from, well, actually this was before, but I actually purchased a used business trailer in the attempt to build a digital production studio, which I have over time. And we have video equipment there. We have computers. We have special effects software. We have 2D software. We have 3D software. It's pretty much pretty functional now that over time we did a little piece here, a little bit there, and kind of built up from just having this big empty 28 by 8 trailer. We have solar lights in there. We have a 4,000 watt, or is it 4,000 watt generator that powers it. Sometimes we get to plug into the facility there so we don't have to have noise in the background. But it's a fully functional digital production studio that we can use for different shoots. We also have a host of video equipment, a crane, 3D green screen, setup lights, portable light, even have a tent for remote location shoots if we're outside somewhere.
You have motion capture gear too, don't you?
Oh, yeah, we have a motion capture system as well.
You know what? Tell you what, you ask me questions, I'll do the
Oh, man, you have to excuse me. I'm tired. But yeah, that's one. I think we've had that for a little over a year, where we have the motion capture system where we create the characters, the assets, and Alonzo Von Threet has been really great in breathing life into the characters that we've submitted to him. We've submitted basic ideas for what we wanted the characters to look like, and then he put the details in and made them really, really hot, where they can stand up against any other 3D that's out there, whether it's like Halo or Half-Life or anything. So our characters look as good, if not better, than some of the stuff that's out there. But seeing those characters that we created and having them move along with you right here, either at the studio or at my house, is so cool. I mean, that stuff is the stuff what Hollywood does. So having the opportunity to be able to do that type of production is outstanding, and I'm really excited about it.
And give us a little idea of what the timeline is, as it currently stands for the production.
Okay, we were looking to have this completed by the end of this year. It may be a little longer, but it just depends on a few things. What we don't want to do is rush and put some stuff out there that's not representative of the people that have participated and donated their time and everything. So we want to make sure it'll be between now and next summer. So it could be as early as December, but it's no later than next summer, because like I said, we want to make sure to put out the best possible product.
Right. And about how many team members do you have working on this right now to do this full feature film?
Oh my God! Right now, the production crew is about 12 people. And with the voicemail, excuse me, not the voicemail, but the voice over, it's going to be another dozen. So it's going to be about 2 dozen people responsible for this film.
That's pretty cool. That's very cool. And of course, we have to mention that there is no film if there is no script. So, no, I'm just kidding. Honest to God, I'm kidding. Well, I'll tell you why it was easy to do it. It was easy to do it because of the short story and the notes that you gave me. There was so much in there that putting together a compelling storyline was not hard to do at all. So, all I did was the phrase is wrong, but it's what it is. I just put lipstick on a pig, and I don't mean, it wasn't a pig, but what I did was just finishing touches. It wasn't like sitting down and having to write a book out of your own head. You know what I mean?
Right. You had some course material.
Yeah, I had great guidance too, and I want to tell you, it was fun. I can't wait to see it myself. When you look at, once it's mixed, once everything's done, once the voiceover, the sound effects, everything is done, are you planning to go like the film festival route to get it out there and try to get distribution? Or is that kind of way putting the cart before the horse?
That's probably a little cart before the horse situation. Okay. There's so many different options where we could do the film festival route, or we could go directly to digital distribution. We just haven't decided yet.
Mm-hmm. Man, wouldn't you love to see that on the big screen?
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. And that also, the prospect also is scary because, we have a lot of people, a lot of eyes on this project, and you want to make sure that it's good. Like I said, we don't want to rush and throw something out there that people are like, ugh. You know what I'm saying? You want it to be a really good product.
And that's one of the things that I really like to see. So many people who are members of BSFS are actually doing really professional level work. You look at the artwork, and you look at some of our young, exciting members. Like we have Denise, who is an artist, and now she live streams her art, so you could watch her drawing. To see things like that, that's pretty cool to watch the process of creation. As opposed to like me, which would be boring as hell, watching me sit in front of the keyboard just typing. There's no excitement there. Well, maybe in what I wear, because never mind.
Okay, too much information.
But no, I don't. I'm not putting on a dress to write a book or anything like that. But I do type comfortably. So, excuse me. When you say that okay, so you did the little short story, you gave the notes you gave me. That's a big jump still to have an idea, or here, let's pander, to have the genesis of an idea, and then all of a sudden decide, well, now I'm going to make a movie. I mean, that's pretty daunting, and it's ambitious. And of course, I had no idea how hard it was till I got into the film industry here in Chicago. Like in the middle 2000s, 2006 or 7 or whatever. And then when I saw, you have all of these people who have to be there in order to make it happen. That's pretty ambitious. I mean, did you know when you were getting ready to put together a movie, all of the moving parts that you would have to make it happen?
I think I had a really good idea because several things. I had the experience from video, doing video in college.
Video production,
and taking the mass communications classes and graphics design classes and things of that nature. And then also that led me to do a production on other people's projects, whether it would have been a play or independent films. I participated on several independent films and short films, so I kind of got an idea of the personnel and the different equipment and things of that nature that would be necessary for it. And then, two, I study how things are done. I think anybody that's went to college can probably relate to, sometimes you go to class and the teacher kind of reads from the book. Well, you can read from the book yourself.
Right.
So I pretty much have the attitude that if there's anything out there that I want to do, I can pretty much watch videos, read up on it, practice, talk to people in the industry, and do it. The sky's the limit. For me, the sky's the limit as far as like what I can do. My dilemma is how much do I want to invest the time it takes to do whatever, in addition to the things that I'm already doing or involved in. And then, two, I've had the privilege of being around people that are already doing it. Terrence Walker has been one of my mentors in terms of learning to do animation, the process of animation, and seeing one person, the capability of what one person can do. And I have a whole team of people. Then also Alonzo, I actually met him years ago watching how-to videos on YouTube. And so that's how I met him. I knew him before on YouTube, well beyond this is of the TV, the actual website. And then also, just like I said, just watching how-tos and other people that have done independent animation projects. Another one that is a big motivator for me is Aurora Trek, which is it's a full-length film now, but the guy made that 3D film in I think about 4 or 5 sections. He would make a section of the film and put it out there for people to see, and then he would make another one, and he would make another one until he had a full-length film that looks really good, and it's entertaining. You when you finish one section, you're always left on a cliffhanger, and so you're just like, oh, what's going to happen next?
That's just good marketing, though.
And
that
so
is just good marketing.
And so having those examples laid before you kind of gives you the confidence to go ahead and just do it. I think, and one big shot in the arm, one of the movies I participated in is called the 70% Club. It's on Amazon right now. It may be on what is that? It may be on Netflix. I'm not sure, but I know it's on Amazon. And that's a live film. That's like a film that I participated on. I did about 80% of the video on that film.
Nice. Is that something we could link to later or not? They're selling it, actually.
I can drop the link in. Give me maybe 20 seconds.
All right. Because I think people would love to see, your work other than as an administrator of BSFS.
Oh, be careful what you ask for. I'm just playing.
Well, I mean, look, I happen to know how much work it takes in order to run a site like that, and it is considerable, and it's more than probably most people think, because, amidst all of the great things that happen there, you also have to be kind of like, the assistant principal, the school disciplinarian, because, let's be honest, people online have a tendency not to act right. Well, and I know we don't want to dwell on it, but isn't that a big part of what you have to do, is to make sure that the community runs smoothly, and all of all of the things that are necessary to make people feel welcome and not to have a hostile environment are things that you have to be cognizant of.
Exactly. I think that is the most the hardest thing for me to do. Although I'll do it because I've seen an unmoderated website die because of people being able to just kind of run amok on the site. I want to always provide a safe, friendly, open, inviting situation for people to participate on the site. And who wants to go to a room and people are arguing and cussing and acting a fool? You can get enough of that out in the public. Coming here, when you come here, I want this always to be a sanctuary where we can collaborate and work together.
And where people, do respect each other.
Exactly.
Okay, so let me, hold on a second. You're listening to the Genesis Science Fiction Radio Show, the best damn radio show on the internet, and it's a service of the Black Science. Well, it is. I'm tired of pretending, and there's no reason for me to be humble. I know how good this show is. It's 2 hours where you really get to learn about somebody, from their early life on. Where else do you get that? And I think that we should probably make it a point to point that out, because you know what? The people that we have here are just as professional as anybody else, are just as enlightened as anybody else, are just as fun as anybody else. And I'll tell you, the one thing that makes this job great for me is when I have a really, really smart guest who has their own ideas, who's been doing what they've been doing, who has opinions, who has, fought in the trenches to get whatever it is they want. And so the Genesis Science Fiction Radio Show is a big damn deal for me, not because I'm here, but because it does something that nobody else does. And for those who are listening, of course, it is a service of the blacksciencefictionsociety.com website. Our special guest tonight is actually the site's creator, Jarvis Sheffield. So tell us, come on, come clean. What is the biggest pain in the ass about doing this website? So that people, for two reasons. People should know that it's not all sweetness and light, and also people should know the kinds of things that annoy the hell out of you or piss you off, so they don't fall afoul of our administrator.
The hardest part, I think we touched on it a little bit, but the hardest part of running a community site is just making sure to keep that friendly, open, and safe, inviting environment, because we have some characters out here that they feel as though they can come on and vent, and whether you're black, white, or orange, you're not gonna just come on here and be a racist with well, all the white men this and no, slow down, slow your roll. Not all of anything is good and not all of anything is bad. And so let's keep all this in perspective. And so I've been cursed out. I've been called everything under the sun but a child of God. I've been threatened because I don't allow people to come on the site and stalk other people or just be nasty toward each other. And then the other part of that too, I don't tolerate people talking crazy to me. I put in a lot of hours for years, and I'm not gonna allow people to disrespect me in this environment either. So I try to treat everyone with respect on the site and treat them fairly, and I ask the same in return. And you know what? Let's be honest. It's not easy. It's just not easy. When you look at some of the crap across the internet, especially look at how people behave on Facebook.
And who, that kind of discourse, that kind of, I don't know, just bad behavior, it doesn't really serve anybody, except maybe somebody who's stroking their own ego or something like that. But I would imagine that keeping up a creative site is definitely not easy. But one of the things that I really admire about BSFS is the level of achievement and professionalism of the people who I see all the time. That's something. I mean, what kind of feedback do you get from most people about how the site is set up and how you maintain it?
I think for the most part, 99% of the feedback that I get is positive. And like I said, I hear the same thing over and over, even to this day, that I didn't know there were this many other people out here like me that like this type of stuff.
Right.
And so, like I said, 99% of it has been good. And like I said, on occasion, you have some nut bars on here that want to act crazy that you got to boot off from time to time. But I think the only other major thing was there was a big thing about the chat sound. No, I'm just playing. The sound in the chat room.
Yeah, I admit it. I'm telling you, I'm guilty. Okay, I am guilty. I rode your ass every time I could, but I didn't do it. I didn't do it in a mean way, did I?
Oh no.
Okay, I just want to make sure. But yeah,
So,
I got on you about this because it sounded. I'm sorry.
I didn't say a word. I just changed it, and everything just ceased.
Well, by the way, if you look in the chat room, and I, like I said, I'm old, but you've got an invitation there for Back Porch Writer. I actually did one of their interviews, so definitely, I would love to see you on there. So keep an eye. That I like I said, I'm old. But tell us a little bit, because it sounds like you're getting more and more invites to more and more, conventions and schools, things like that. Tell us a little bit about, how things are opening up for you.
Well, thanks for asking about that. In the past, I've always been on the path of I want to go to as many events as I can, and to continue to spread the word about the site and sell the books and things of that nature to keep the site going. And this last year, I've continued to get more and more invites. I've was invited to speak at one of the local high schools here, Antioch High School, on February 1st. Myself and Sherrod Jackson went to Antioch High School and did an Afrofuturism presentation there. I was privy and to be a part of the Clark Atlanta University Afrofuturism Day there with Natasha Womack and John Jennings and some other prominent people in the genre, and that was completely outstanding. I had a great time there. The next, this past weekend, I just came back from the Atlanta Science Fiction and Fantasy Expo, and I had the opportunity I was invited and had the opportunity to be on two different panels there, in addition to, normal vending. And I have a couple more invites on for events later on this year. I'm just trying to make sure I have my dates straight, and for availability and transportation and things of that nature. But I'm trying to participate in as many events as I can to continue to spread the word about the site and link up with other like-minded people and continue to create.
Have you looked at like membership growth after you've made an appearance someplace? Are you seeing a little bit of correlation between, you getting out there and being the face and pitching, what BSFS is all about, and people possibly, signing up to check out what the site is like?
You hit the nail on the head. I think that's one of the main reasons for doing the events. It's sparking more interest and getting more people to join the site. And after each event, there is a spike, not only in membership but in interest from people that may have been a member of the site, but they haven't been to the site for a while. And so they'll come back and update their site and their page and, get brought back up to speed with what's going on. But most definitely, yeah.
Yeah. And well, I mean, it's easy to chart the growth when you talk about 5,000 people in the last 8 years. That's still decent growth. And every now and then, somebody creeps up in there who I've never seen, never thought of, and then, they say, hey, this is what I do, and a whole nother world is opened up of possibilities for me, to think about what to do. Like I'm in a collaboration right now with a group-written short story, and as soon as I'm done doing a few things, I'm going to be finishing co-authoring a book with somebody else, and none of these opportunities would have presented themselves had I not been a member here. So that's exciting for me, and it's obviously exciting for other people. When you get to I'm a little curious because I haven't really been to a convention. I'm probably going to C2E2 here in Chicago in a few weeks. But what's the best part? I mean, other than meeting the people, do you see the enthusiasm for the genre, or the, or at least, well, okay, here, for me, before I ran into this site, who did everybody talk about in black sci-fi? Well, there's only two names. There's only two names. It's like, and then to a lesser extent, then they add, Tananarive Due, and sometimes people talk about, Stephen Barnes. But Stephen Barnes actually co-authored a couple books that I really like with, I think it was David Niven. No, not David Niven. Larry Niven. David Niven is the old British actor. So, when who are the two people? Well, the reason why I said it was it's so obvious, but maybe it's not. But it's Octavia Butler and Samuel Delany. Octavia Butler is, you guys can look them up. Samuel Delany I went and saw at the University of Chicago and was kind of disappointed because there's a room full of people, and the first thing he announced is, I don't want to talk about my writing. And it was a crappy-ass winter Chicago day. The temperature is like 0. There's snow and ice on the ground. There was no parking. I had to bring someone who had difficulty moving around. She had a walker, and we go, and the first thing he says is, I don't want to talk about my writing. And I'm thinking, well, why the hell do you think all these people are here? And so, then he says, well, I want to talk about, my tour through Europe and my sexual exploits. And, he's gay. And I'm going, this is not what I signed up for coming here for. And so, it's kind of like I find another writing god, author god of mine with feet of clay. Pretty weird. but you don't, other than you hear that, and only when you're in the industry do you know about Tananarive and Steven and a few others, not very many at all. And I'm finding there's hundreds, thousands of people who are contributing to, part of what we call Afrofuturism now, but then you've got a bunch of whiz-whackers out there arguing over who owns the term and what does it mean, and, who they get to say is an Afrofuturist and this, that, and the other, and all that nonsense. So it's not a genre that people normally are exposed to. But what we're finding out, especially in terms of entertainment, television entertainment, movies, things like that, comic books, American entertainment has run out of fresh ideas. Okay, otherwise they wouldn't be doing the comics to death. These are comics that I read when I was a child, and yes, they make an incredible amount of money, but there's no originality there, and all of the best ideas, the best stories are coming from places other than what we would consider mainstream entertainment. And so when you see that, how do you, when you're at a con or something like that, what do you do to kind of promote this entire universe that a lot of people don't know about?
When I'm at the cons or the expos or the festivals, by being there, pushing what we do alone, that kind of pushes the envelope on something new that most people haven't seen before. A lot of them, I never knew that we had this. This is nice artwork. I've never seen anything like this before. But then, too, not only from our perspective, but walking around and seeing what other people have done and the reactions of the kids that run up to the table and are excited about the characters because the characters look like them and they can identify with those and they want them. And they'll bug. I've seen them bug their parents' eyeballs out until they get it. But that's good to see that these other products are out here, and little toys and shirts and books and things of that nature. I love going to these events, not only to push Black Science Fiction Society, but to also see the new comics and the stuff that people have come out with. That entire atmosphere is something that I really enjoy and I get a high from. So I'm like, I got to get back to that environment again. So now that this event is over, I got to go to this event and talk and share with people there about what's going on in the industry, what I'm doing, what they're doing, and sharing that information. Like I said, the atmosphere is awesome, and learning and interacting with those people is great. And with you being, or your site, and I guess to a large extent you being kind of like an information portal for this Black themed writing, video, what have you. What do you see currently while you're sitting in your chair? What is the biggest hurdle that we have as Black creators to getting more mainstream attention for the work that we do? A lot of people would say, we got to have this quality of work and all this stuff. I think that's bull, because I've seen and purchased and been exposed to some of the greatest artwork in books and things of that nature that are out there. The problem comes in with, I believe, with marketing. And I think that's one of the biggest hurdles for us is marketing. We don't have those large marketing budgets or years in the game like Marvel or DC have had to build their brand. So I think the branding and the marketing is the biggest hurdle for independence.
So, and I guess that you're right. That does kind of boil down to dollars. Okay, well, you just using me as an example. I've written a trilogy of books. They're very well reviewed, but getting eyes to see that I've even done that is my biggest hurdle. And to try to overcome that hurdle is expensive. I'm going to go to the extent of this fall taking out a full-page ad in the New York Times book section for several weekends in a row, and that's tens of thousands of dollars. Because I don't have a publisher other than myself. I have self-published so far, although I may have a publisher by then. But even so, if I don't, that's the kind of dollars we're talking about. And yeah, I'm going to get a couple ads in like Asimov's and Analog science fiction magazines, and that's probably between the two of them, excuse me, about $3,000. But if you are, kind of the entrepreneurial content creator, that's still, it's not inconsiderable amounts of money that you have to do to get those mainstream eyes. What are some of the ways that you think other people, other creatives, can increase their visibility, their profile?
Let's see. I would definitely say attend as many events as possible within budget to get in the face of different people. Invest in not only online advertisements, but also print. One thing that's been really effective that I see a lot of, and I employ a little bit myself, is the handbills. Do like 5,000 handbills and spread those around at the different events. Make sure that every person you come in contact with walks away with one of those or business cards. I feel like you have to have a marketing mix of face-to-face, print ads, and online ads. Just doing one of those is not going to be enough because you're going to have to meet people where they are. Some people, they live completely online, so you're going to have to get on the social media and meet them where they are. There's some people that they're not so much as technical savvy, but they will come out to a physical event, and then you have them right in front of you. You can talk to them. So you want to meet people where they are and diversify your marketing portfolio, as they say, marketing portfolio, but have a marketing mix where you touch people where they are.
Yeah, and for you, you're now at the point where you get to talk up the site. You go to these conventions. Is it kind of like when we were talking a year or so ago? Is it still when people come up and they go, "Man, I had no idea this resource existed," and they get excited about it?
Oh yeah, I saw that this past weekend, and also running into a couple of members that I had never met. Both of those two things have happened.
Mhm. Well, that and that, I guess that is the challenge. People get their content, excuse me, and their information about things that they're going to purchase, watch, read, what have you. They get those from so many places now. It's not like the good old days where, like let's just take TV, broadcast TV. You had the lower channels and you had UHF. Now there are literally hundreds, probably thousands of television channels out there. God knows how many accounts on Facebook, billions, and the same thing for any place else on the internet. It's still tough. Thank God for search engines, but then there are people out there who are selling search engine optimization to try to assure you that to get you in the top few lines when somebody does a search. It's still, no matter how you go, there are the inexpensive ways of doing things, but money still seems to be the lubricant for making things happen.
Yeah, I think money and time because if you don't have the money to make a big impact marketing wise, you have to build up over time.
Right.
And so that's the dynamics. If you have both on your side, then that's great. But if you don't have the money, you're going to have to be more resourceful, and you're going to have to grind a little harder. You're going to have to do the Facebook and the Twitter and the Instagram, all those things. And then also I wanted to note, years ago I had a website that I ran, and I would pay $30 to run a newsletter. And here we are now with the social media that's very similar, and that's free. So I encourage people to go ahead and get out here and take advantage of those free opportunities to market.
Yeah. And I if I were to be honest with everybody, for me at least, I haven't taken the time or put in the effort to do things, further than I have, the little bit that I have. And I'm also very, very careful about targeting where I put my effort. Like the New York Times ad. The chances are pretty good, spending $18,000, I'll get 20,000 book sales, which of course pays for it. But making the ad controversial is also going to kick up the numbers, just because, I guess the tagline at the top is going to be "Forget Star Wars, forget Star Trek. The Dark Side Trilogy is the sci-fi saga for the new millennium." And, there's going to be people who buy whatever they see in the New York Times, and then there's going to be the fanboys who are going to want to rip me a new one, because how dare I compare myself to Star Wars and Star Trek? But either way, I don't give a damn. Let them buy the books. Let a controversy ensue, because in that kind of environment, what do they say? Any mention is good marketing, whether it's good or bad. And I think if you write a book, and you write a book that's controversial, and I have one that's going to get published soon, if people do start to read it, it does tend to snowball. Although that doesn't explain 50 Shades of Grey, but there you go. Now, we've got about a half an hour to go. Where do you see BSFS's efforts going, like in the next 5 years? You've got the movie that's coming out. That's going to be huge, because if you put the BSFS imprint all over the damn movie, people are going to go, well, who are these upstart people, and where did these colored people decide they were going to do something like this, or whatever anybody says. But I mean, what other things do you have, let's say, for the next 5 years? We've got the movie, we've got the site. You do anthologies, stories from BSFS members, and then you have the Genesis magazine. Do you have other things gearing up for the near future?
Oh, I have pages and pages of ideas of things to do. But some of the things on the immediate horizon, in addition to the movie, I mentioned a little bit about toys and video games, and then also we have this production studio and these cameras and things. So we want to move into making some live action science fiction products as well. And then a little bit down the line, we eventually want to have our own festival, expo, or con to kind of move things into the next era, because we have different distribution points and I call the black events or cons or things of that nature, I call them distribution points. You have them in Chicago and Atlanta and in Detroit and Philadelphia, but there isn't one in my area here in the Nashville area. There are 3 black colleges here. Tennessee State has about almost 10,000 students at any given time. Fisk has about 3,000. Meharry, which is right across the street, probably has roughly the same amount of students there. in addition to all the people like myself that come here to go to school and never leave. So we have a sizable population here of African Americans that we haven't tapped into yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so we want to have a distribution point here as well.
Man, I don't want to come all the way down there. Why don't you do something up here in Chicago?
It's cold.
Well, don't do it in the winter. You got to be crazy to come do something up here in the winter. 2 winters ago almost killed me.
Yeah, I remember that. Your car was frozen over and everything.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. So...
You were coughing?
Shoot, man, I told you I'm old. You know, it's half a joke. It's only half a joke. But in white people years, I'm 187. But I mean, okay. So you're looking at your own con. I remember a while ago, and it kind of fell through the cracks because everybody got kind of busy. But your sci-fi awards show too.
I was thinking of putting that as part of the con.
Okay, to roll it all together.
Mm-hmm. So I think that would be a good attraction for the actual event.
Yeah, I would really like to be involved with that, except for the fact that I want to win me some awards. So I have,
You can't double dipping, man.
Exactly. I can't help put that together and then, submit all my stuff, because that would be wrong. That would be what we used to do, but we don't. So, yeah, I think that would be fun. But to be able to put together, let's say you put together a 1-hour award show, and then that award show can be sent out multiple times, all over the place. I think that would be a lot of fun and certainly put you on the map. And you know how people love to win awards.
Oh, yeah, and possibly simulcast the awards. There's a lot of movement going on with live recording now. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Periscope, but there was a panel that was broadcast this weekend via Periscope live. I was really excited about that.
Well, the barrier to publication, the barriers to performances, the barriers to broadcasting and stuff like that have been so considerably lowered in the last, at least the last 5 years. But I mean, we're talking about, the proliferation of so many people being on the web these days, and for most young people, their point of contact is their mobile device, their phone or tablet. Getting content to those is much easier, but you have far more eyes competing, or far more things competing to try to get those eyes to see what's going on.
Right.
So again, we're at that same point where we're all competing to try to get visibility. And one of the things that I've been finding is that good content sells. If you have good content, people will come to you, and maybe not hundreds of thousands in the beginning, but word does spread. So I see that as a good possibility there. Let me say
good content and customer service.
I'm sorry, say that again?
It's a good content and good customer service.
Well, yeah, that's true too, because there's a whole lot of people out there who will sell you a bill of goods and then walk away once they have your money. That's not a fun feeling, is it?
Oh no, that's horrible, and that's a one-time deal. It only takes getting burnt once for me to not fool with you again after a situation like that. Because there's so much out there, why keep going back to someone or business or whatever that's not going to respect you. You know, it's just say, I'll give an example of Zaxby's and McDonald's. Half the time, if I go to McDonald's, I have to ask for a straw. I have to ask for napkins. Where in this, there's no thank you or anything. As opposed to Zaxby's, they're constantly asking you what you need. Is there anything else they can do? They're really friendly. So I will actually pay a little more and go to Zaxby's and get the good customer service than going to the cheaper McDonald's.
Yeah, and you know there are so many.
For
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Other creators. Oh, and I feel that holds true for content creators as well, and whether it's a book or you're selling your film or animation or a comic.
Well, I had an experience with a content creator last year who took my money and never did anything with it. They did not come through, so of course I lost that money. And it costs more to sue somebody for certain things than the money you would get back. And of course, like you said, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. And that's one thing that I try to impress upon the people who I work with, that if you do business well, you'll get return business. And that's the essence of staying in business. For you, when you look at the environment that you're presenting, the environment that you're offering up to people at blacksciencefictionsociety.com and the associated websites, how do you see customer service? Because obviously there's got to be that component that keeps people coming back. What's the nature of what you do deliberately from customer service and marketing to try to keep the interest up? Because you and I both know, we've discussed in the past, how many black sci-fi, fantasy, and horror sites or groups or portals have risen, peaked, and disappeared in the last 10 years. What do you think makes BSFS, what gives it its longevity, and what is it that you're selling that people are finding to be so, and I should be asking other people, but what is it that you think makes BSFS so compelling for people to come again, and keep coming?
Well, I think providing that environment for a safe and inviting environment for people to collaborate and talk and meet is essential. I don't want to ever have a hostile situation going on, because that turns people off. People have crazy things going on in their life and work and family sometimes, and they want to have a sanctuary or an escape from all that negativity. And so we want to always provide a positive environment. And then also, I always try my best to put myself in the other person's shoes. And so I want to always treat people as though I would want to be treated. And I think 99% of the time that keeps me out of trouble, because I just believe in fairness and respect for others, and that goes a long way with me. And so I think that resonates with other people as well. And as far as the marketing, just trying to, like I said before, to meet people where they are, in whether that's live in person or on the different social media sites, or whether it's through sharing print flyers and things of that nature. I want to always try to meet people where they are. And actually, I learn new things as well by going to the different events I meet, network with other people, and see what they're doing, see what's working, what's not working.
Right.
Talking to people on different social media sites is similar there, where I talk to them and see what's working for them and what's not working. But to always continue to try to grow and thrive rather than, okay, I just want to exist. No, I don't think just existing is good enough. I want to always have the science fiction society community growing, moving forward, adding new things, adding more people under the tent. And so that's how I look at that aspect.
And do you think that this is going to last, another 10 years? Well, wait a minute. 2 years from now, you'll have your 10th anniversary, right?
Oh, yeah.
You got anything special planned? Let me ask that.
No, not yet. No, but I'm open to that. But from the beginning, this project was meant to be a 20-year project because I look at things in terms of long term. I knew, remember I said you either have the money or the time, so I knew I didn't have a bunch of money with this project. So initially, I planned for this to be a 20-year project. And so I think one of the things that I drew that from was here in Nashville, one of the biggest events in the city is the African Street Festival. And I've been coming to the African Street Festival since I was a little kid. When it first started, it was not the big behemoth that it is now. By no means. It was just on one strip at Tennessee State University on one of the streets there. And over the years, this thing has grown so big that it takes over the whole entire Hadley Park for a weekend every year.
Right.
So growing up, being exposed to that, seeing how something small, that small seed can grow over time, kind of was embedded in me. So that's the perspective that I look at the site. And over the last, like I said, this month makes 8 years. We've been able to continue to grow and add new things, and that's how I look at the project. It is a 20-year project.
And then let's, we've got about a little over 15 minutes to go. Let's talk about you. Try now, sit down, take a deep breath, shut the hell up. Trust me to guide this well, okay? So, okay. I met you before you decided to get back into school. And you're in school right now. You don't have any classroom work. Tell people what you're studying and what degree you're going for.
Okay. What I'm studying is a doctorate in educational leadership, and my emphasis is on utilizing video games as learning tools. I've completed all of my classwork, praise the Lord, as of 3 weeks ago. And now I'm just completing the actual research. And I should have everything in hand and done by August.
Did you say by August? I'm sorry.
By August.
Very cool. And then you'll have your PhD in education?
It's an EDD, which is
educational
educational
that's doctor. Right. I'm sorry. Yeah.
It's my wife.
Man.
It's my wife with the PhD. It's my wife with the PhD. She'll be completing her in psychology in December. She's doing a PhD program.
Oh, good, because I'll probably need some therapy by then.
Hey, I get free therapy every day, man.
You're a lucky man. You're a very lucky man. And talk a little bit about, your support system around you. You've mentioned that your wife gives you great support, and you two, I've never met her or anything or spoken to her, but she seems to be very important in your life. How does that help or hinder your creative process and also the kind of business that you're in?
Oh man, I think having a spouse that supports you and gets you is one of the greatest things that you can have. I've seen individuals that their wife didn't get it, and
Right.
so they look at the time away from them as some kind of competition, and so that creates a hostile situation. My wife actually encourages me to do my thing. She is busy doing her thing. She actually runs her own marriage and family therapy practice in addition to being
Mm-hmm.
active in her sorority, Delta Sigma Theta. So she's always busy doing her thing, and so we give each other our space to do what we do, and we work together as a team, and that's the key to us being so. I guess some people would say successful, but for us being able to have the relationship that we do. If you're working
Yeah.
together as a team, you can get 4 times more done than if you were both working independently or you didn't have that support there. I think my wife has been my greatest cornerstone and supporter, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm the exact same way with her.
I mean, that sounds great. How long have you guys been together?
23 years. No, I'm just playing. We've been married. We've been married 9 years, and we've known each other for about 20 something years. We actually met in college in 1993, and
Uh-huh.
so she moved away after everybody went to school in different directions, and I found out that she was moving back here. I said, "Oh man, uh, I'm gonna have to holler at her." and so, and so I put my plan into motion, and it worked. And we've been together. We dated for a year, and we've been married for 9 years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Been
Well, it sounds like
officially
it's working
together.
for you. No, I mean
Oh.
seriously, it does sound. You know, I always recommend that everybody try it at least once. You know, getting married. Um, well, I'm serious. You know, I've been married 1.5 times, and I'll tell that story later. Next time I'm interviewed, I'll tell how that happened. But
Okay.
it's absolutely. I think it's absolutely essential that you have. You have to have a support structure. And I actually I'll just tell you one little inside baseball thing for me. I lived with a woman for a while, and I've been in the IT field since 1970. So working on computers, and then 1982 I started my own consultancy. And
Mhm.
she would always roll up on me while I was working at the keyboard. She said, "When are you going to be done playing on the computer?" And that well, it wasn't a very supportive thing, and it wasn't play; it was bringing in money. So you're absolutely right about having somebody who's simpatico, who's on the same page as you are, and and actually supports you doing what you're doing because it helps you so much, not only in your day to day but in getting ahead. Because then you've got an equal partner who's going to help you strategize to make life as good as possible.
Exactly. And then also, I
Uh,
want to give a shout out to Quasi Jackson. He's a member of the
uh-huh.
site, and he's been a friend of mine for probably about as long as. Well, actually, I met him in 1991. We've been friends since then. He supports me on all these endeavors. I finally got him out the house, and he actually went to the Atlanta event last weekend. You'll
How do you
see
like
him
it?
on that. He loved it. Like I said, I finally got him to come to one, and he gets it. And I turned around, he spent, I don't know how much money he spent on comics and posters and stuff, but he was geeked. And so I can count on him going to more events this year because of that experience. And then also, my friend Ernest Whitfield, he's a member of the site. He pops in and out every now and then. And then just random friends that I've had from college and just life. They'll pop in. They may not say anything, but they'll come in and they'll buy a book or send a donation here and there. And so, in addition to my personal friends like that and family members, just all the members from the site, some people never say a word, but they'll come in, look around. I'll see them when they log on. They'll never say a word in the chat room or anything, but they'll donate something through the donate button, or they'll buy a magazine or something. So everyone that participates, whether it's something that's purchased or just having your presence on the site, is appreciated.
Yeah, and for me, it's always good to know that it's not like everybody has a free Friday night where they can come listen to the show, but to look at the stats and see that people pick it up as a podcast is it's encouraging to me. I mean, when I think about the fact that I've been doing this for 3 years, the first thought is, well, don't you have anything better to do with your life? That's the first thought. But then on the other hand, not to say that I'm the best interviewer in the world, but I mean, if I don't do this, do we get somebody who has the patience or who will show up all the time or all of these things? And there's a commitment, that I've made. I said, yes, I'll do it, and I do it. And so that's very visible. But you have so many people who are who are supporters of what you're trying to do. And like you said, some of them are vocal, some of them are not. But it's a testament to both them and you that the site's been around as long as it has and is as successful as it has. As I spoke before, I'm not naming names, but there's a whole lot of sites out there that started up that are no longer there. And I think that's a great thing. And something that you should be understandably proud of. When you think about,
I'm just happy and privileged to be among other like-minded people, because I was telling somebody the other day that whether you come on the site and talk or join in on the chat room or whatever you do, the people that are members of the site could literally be a million other places, but they choose to come here. And so I appreciate every person that comes and participates in whatever aspect.
Yeah. It's funny because, we know each other so well. I'm sure there's all kinds of things I could have asked you. Is there anything that you want to mention that I may have missed? I mean, something about BSFS and all of the things that you do that I may have overlooked?
Not really. I just want to encourage everyone to participate and get active on the site and tell other people about what we're doing. Don't keep this to yourself. Share it with your
Don't
family,
make this your
friends.
secret.
No, don't make us your secret. Tell other people about the site and spread the word about what we're doing. Because I think what we're doing is really something that's unique and needed. And I told someone that we have so much freedom with the site because I'm not trying to live off of Black Science Fiction Society. I have a decent job that I enjoy going to every day, so that allows me the freedom to say things on here and post things on here that you don't see everywhere. And so just support what we're doing so that we can continue to share the information about what everybody's doing. Because we have members from around the world here, whether it's Canada, South Africa, France, Trinidad and Tobago. I mean, there's people from everywhere on here. So continue to help share what we're doing. That's one of the biggest requests that I could ask.
Yeah. One of the things that I'm curious about, I don't visit the Facebook page as much, mostly because I'm not on Facebook as William Hayashi, but as a political commentator and a blogger. So what do you see is the biggest difference between like the membership who comes directly to the site and those people who, subtract people who come directly to BSFS, but people who aren't members of BSFS who show up on the Facebook page? Is there a difference in what they say, what they post, and how they are online than the people you have at BSFS?
I think the people that come to directly to us, they kind of and well, and they kind of understand it. There's a certain standard here,
Right.
And so, in a certain environment here, where the people on Facebook are a little wilder, and and I think that's the big difference. They're a little wilder than the homegrown people that come to the site. The people that come to the site, it's a more intimate environment than just saying something under somebody's on Facebook is that's a wild and woolly place in the first place, and so it's a big difference. Facebook is more, I wouldn't say superficial, but I would say just more, they're wilder, and the people on the main site or more, it's a more intimate situation.
Mm-hmm. And when you look at what you do, I've seen some of the wild posts when somebody says, "Oh, did you see what someone posted on Facebook?" Is it harder for you to police them, or do you just have your kind of your same zero tolerance kind of attitude?
I try to warn people if you're breaking any kind of rule on the site. I normally will inbox you or speak to you on the side in the private thing before making any kind of action. And a lot of times, even if it's a crazy situation or infraction or something, I'll give it 24 hours to, that I'm not, overreacting. And I'll bounce things off my wife and see, because she's the greatest. She has more common sense than anybody I know, and so I bounce things off her to get a second opinion, and pretty much, I'll take it from there. But I don't make rash decisions. I try to be fair with everyone. But it can get a little hairy, and sometimes we have to let people go to maintain the environment here that we want for everybody to benefit from. So no zero tolerance. I think the only I think the only time I've really had to get rid of somebody with zero tolerance was, I'm just straight up being cursed out.
Right.
You have crazy people, like I said, that'll come in and vent. But I had to let them know this is not somewhere that you can just come and say crazy stuff to get off of your chest because you're mad at somebody at work. You know what I'm saying? This is a family-friendly environment where we can come here and be in a safe environment. Like I said, I always want to make it like a sanctuary from the foolishness out in the world, where we can come here and do things together in harmony.
Mm-hmm. Well, sir, I want to thank you for have put. Wait, one day I'll learn how to speak. For having put together the site that you have put together, because it's been a joy for me, and it's given me some opportunities, and it's allowed me to meet so many great people. I mean, through the years. I would, obviously anybody who picks this up as a podcast or listens who's not a member, I would advise people, to check out the site, because first of all, there's a nearly unlimited, well, no, it's not unlimited, but there's a lot of content on there, a lot of writers, a lot of art, a lot of links to people's web series in terms of video, movies, and things like that, and it's a wealth of information that mainstream America hasn't discovered yet, but they will, because the ideas that mainstream media, are constantly going back to are bankrupt. They're just bankrupt. There's nothing new, and when we get to the point where we're arguing about whether Spider-Man will ever be seen as an adult in any movie, that kind of nonsense, you have to go, well, really, what are we talking about? What's the big damn deal? And or people who are so obsessed with what is it, Black Panther movie that's coming out eventually, soon, sometime, and they want to sit there and they want to verbally battle with people to the death about something like that. They no holds barred. I mean, it's almost like Republicans who support any of these knucklehead candidates who would beat up other people because of it. It's not the most healthy thing, but Afrofuturism is getting more and more exposure, and the people who are creatives in that milieu are getting more and more attention because the ideas are fresh. They are ideas that people have not seen before, and a lot of those ideas are compelling enough that mainstream entertainment companies are going to have to start looking at what this entire industry has to offer, because it's new, it's fresh. You see movies coming out of Africa. You see, excuse me, content creators coming out of the islands. You see black art coming from everywhere, and it's something that the world has not seen. And that's, if people see $1 in it, well, so much the better. I want to thank you for being here, man. At the last moment, you made this easy. This was an easy show for me. Is there anything you want to say to everybody before we close it out? Because you usually do that. I think you already did. You thanked everybody, right?
I think I did, but I can't thank people enough to come for coming and supporting what we're doing. Like I said, I can always depend on people from around the world of like mind to come in and share what they're doing with us. And so everybody, a thanks from Mr. Sheffield for all the support that you've provided. And thanks for William for pushing me to come on the site and talk tonight, because I was like, I like to stay in the background. I don't want to be out front talking.
Yeah, but like I told you at the very beginning, this wasn't going to be hard. Just take a deep breath and trust me. Well, I want to thank everybody who supported me and who says nice things about me, and even people who, I haven't met anybody who said anything really bad about me. But I want to thank everybody who supports me doing this show and at least thinks that I do a good enough job to keep doing it, because otherwise that would be a tough road to hoe. I want to say keep us posted on Earth Squadron, because this is a really big project for BSFS, and if it comes out anywhere near as good as I think it will be, this is going to be a pretty compelling thing. This is going to be big. Somebody put it there. You didn't hear me when I mumbled under my breath. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But the Earth Squadron thing is very big. It's very exciting, and it's something that I think people should watch the process of creation, because we're getting to see it as it happens. So other than that, I want to thank everybody for listening. I want to thank everybody who picked this up as a podcast. I don't have any catchy closing statement. Way back when, like in the 70s, we said, what do we say? Have a bitch and boss disco day. That was way back in the 70s, but that's not appropriate for now. I want to thank everybody for listening. Thank you, Jarvis, and we'll see everybody back here next week at same time, same station. So on behalf of everybody at BSFS and for Jarvis Sheffield, my name is William Hayashi, and I want to wish you all a good evening. Bye-bye.
Peace.